Good morning, or let's just say morning. We're going to start in bound angle. We're going to do a bunch of stuff for hips. Um, Sit on a double folded blanket if you need for hips, tight hips, and knee issues. Um, have your right foot in, left leg out to the side. Oh, no, 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 no. Don't do this. I forgot. We're going to start in bound angle. I knew there was a reason we were on the blanket. Bound angle, bottoms of your feet together, knees apart. If you have issues with a knee, sometimes putting a block or a blanket under to keep it lifted, or both sides. Or I really hate to tell you to move your feet out because that really does strain the knees a little bit more. But if you need to, if there's no alternative, then move your heels out. Otherwise, try to keep them in. And do a forward bend, and you can do the forward bend as little or as much as your hips allow and your knees allow. So bound angle, forward bend, hold it. While we're holding this, as usual, you can't keep quiet. There's a little story I have to share about my last clarinet lesson. I was going to see her in person, I think I mentioned on Thursday. But everything was going really well in my practices. I think all week I had one squeak, even in the notes. I didn't have any in the notes that I've been having trouble with. And I was being very careful in how to align the read. And anyway, so I canceled the in-person and we went back to our regular class, which is Thursday evening. And what I'd been practicing was the last half of the previous lesson and all of the new lesson and half of the next lesson, because it was something I understood, and up to the point where there was a new note and I couldn't figure out what the fingering was for the new note, so I went just half. So she said, "What have you been practicing?" So I told her. She said, "Well, what are you starting on?" And I said, "Line 5 from the old lesson." She said, "Okay." And wouldn't you know, I squeaked for the first 5, 6, 7 notes. I absolutely played them, and I imagine that if she has, I mean, I'm sure she has a lot of younger students, band and so on, and it would be enough to bring tears to your eyes. But I laughed because it just was like it was, my practice was all perfect until I had to actually play it for the teacher. So I did go through most of it, but I didn't do very well. I mean, I was squeaking all the time. We tried changing the read, everything. It just wasn't working. But we moved on, and I learned a new note, and I the next lesson is B flat, which is my first with a flat. So I have to remember to play that note instead of the B note for the whole lesson, which is, I mean, I know piano, so I kind of know how to do that. Okay, slowly release up. Anyway, it was very embarrassing having told her, I don't need to see you in person. It's all perfect. And now it's not. Legs forward. Actually, bend your knees. Separate your feet maybe a foot, foot and a half apart, and rock them side to side. Don't press them to the floor. Lifting your hip up. Just rock them. It's just to loosen up and keep the hips loose with some of these deep stretches. Windshield wipers, these are called. Go figure, right? So, moral of the story is when you're trying to learn something new, don't get upset if you go 5, 10, 15 steps back because ultimately you are going forward. You just don't realize it. Okay, now right foot in, left leg out to the side, right heel in close to your groins. If you can't bend it in that far, you can leave it out a little bit. If your knee happens to lift, you put a double folded, triple folded, quadruple folded blanket or block to support your knee so it's just not hanging there in space, which can be uncomfortable. And you're going to stretch over your right foot, center your sternum, your breastbone, over your right heel. I put my hand here to the right so I don't lean because that's what the body tends to do because this is tight. So the body kind of tries to help you do the forward bending with the muscles the way they're used to. So we want to use the muscles in a way they're not used to, or the tendons and ligaments in this case. So go straight forward, and you can use whatever props you want in front, or two of them, or this way and two of them. It's a little bit higher than this, or one of these and a blanket on top, whatever works for you. Stretch straight forward. Feel a stretch on the left inner thigh, maybe a little bit in the right hip, depending on how tight your hips are. Hold it. But all that being said, I still really enjoy learning clarinet. And if any of you music people out there know, no, never mind. That's too complicated. I was going to ask if anybody knew how to convert an acoustic guitar, non-electric, into a bass guitar. And I know it's more than just strings, changing the string. But I think it might be too complicated. From what I saw when I was looking on Google, and the only ones I can find out there are electric. So, besides, I wouldn't buy a new one. No, I think I better just stick with my clarinet for a while. But I did, the new note that I learned is low E. And that's the lowest, she said that's the lowest note in a very low E. That's the lowest note in a clarinet. And I was all happy. I finally hit the bottom as far as that goes. So I asked her if the A note above, sort of I guess it's considered middle A, was the highest that I had hoped. And she said no. And she said, I'm on lesson 6 or 7 now, and she said, turn to lesson 38. So I turned to lesson 38, and holy cow, there's at least another octave or an octave and a half above And I'm out of holes. So I have no idea how I'm going to do that. And I'm out of fingers too. Uh, so it's going to be, and this is the beginner's book. I don't know. I think I might stop after the end of the beginner's book. I think that might be enough for me to do what I want to do, but we'll see. It depends. I was just, and I said, well, does it change if you move your mouth different to make the different notes like you would in a trumpet? And she said, no, it's fingers. I mean, granted, there are a lot of those silver things and stuff I haven't used yet, but gee whiz, that's really high. Well, continuing saga, the clarinet. And I know some of you play the clarinet. You know, Connie does. Or have in the past. I may need some other input. I'm getting some from Gail's brother, who's a music teacher in Chicago. And my teacher. She's very good. Slowly back up this time. Like straight forward and rock them around the hips, the whole leg. And come back, left foot in, right leg out. One side's going to feel different. You may need to use props differently or not at all. You may go further down into the stretch or less. Don't assume anything in. Feel your way into things. Use your supports. Stretch straight forward, center your sternum over your heel, and stretch straight forward. Again, I put my left hand out here because I do want to tilt that way. Try to keep the right buttock down, both buttocks, but the right buttock is the one that wants to lift in this one. Stretch, hold the stretch. Yes, yes, we have increased our holds. We're not back to what we were at the studio, but we're getting there. We're going to have a real estate agent come look at the studio. They will probably handle everything for us. It's really not that expensive to have somebody else manage it for you. And considering we live right here, we don't want them running down here with every little thing. We want them to contact them. But anyway, it's coming Monday to look at it. It's not ready, but it'll give them a general idea. Oh, we watched the first Harry Potter movie. I think for the first time since we watched it originally, we have a course and have never watched it. So we watched the first one. And man, are they young. Oh, holy cow. They are so young. But it's a good one. There are a few things I forgot, but sometimes I could actually say the words with them. And I know we've only watched it. Maybe we've watched it twice since it came out, but I think only once. But it was fun. It's just as fun as it always was. The only trouble is now you know who the bad guy is. do still have a couple balls left at the studio. So let me know if you want them. We'll either be holding a garage sale up there or something soon. I need to get rid of some stuff. I'll be taking some of the older mats to Samaritan Shop. Slowly back up, legs straight forward. Rock. You can bounce a little bit. Okay, there's a number of speak English, and there's a number of ways that you can do this one. If you happen to have a wall and you know how to do it, you can do it on the wall. Otherwise, we're going to do seated pigeon. So start with your knees just slightly bent, cross your right ankle, and you can also do recline pigeon. So you're lying down over your right leg, your knee goes out. But this is it feels different. So if you can, the other options are if you can't do it this way, if there's an issue that this causes pain. But cross your right ankle just above your left knee, not real far. Lean back, but don't lean back way far. You want to stay basically as much, a slight angle, but basically straight up and down. Start bringing your left heel in. Don't bring the left heel back so that the heel is in further than your knee, because then you lose some of the stretch because your knee goes forward and you lose some of this stretch. And then try to, hands on a blanket might be a good idea actually. Try to push yourself forward without doing what I was starting to do, lowering your head and sticking your neck forward. Press your chest forward. So this isn't completely relaxed. Don't let your knee tilt to the right, your left knee. Keep it straight. Push into the stretch. That's a good strong stretch and hold it. Use supports. If you want to make it even stronger, you can put your foot on a block. Don't lift up. Make sure your buttocks stay down and press forward. Your foot won't come in as far when it's up higher. Be aware of that. Which might be good if it's hard to compress your left knee. Put your foot on a block, lift it up without having to bring the foot in as much. Anyhow, all those options to do the pose. And you can do it lying down. This one, which might be the easiest one for some. And easy isn't necessarily what we want, but we do not want pain or aggravation in your knee. No, even ache in the knee is not a good thing. So find the pigeon where you can feel a good stretch in that right hip primarily. And you don't feel aching in the right knee. Modify, do it a little bit less if you need to. You can just hold the leg. Keep your shoulders relaxed, supporting around the outside of the right knee, holding the outside of the right foot, and just use that to kind of lift it up a little bit. Again, don't back off because it's uncomfortable. This is always uncomfortable, especially holding it. But do back off if you feel an ache or stabbing pains, anything like that in your knee or your hip or your back, stabbing pains. But discomfort is part of yin. It's not a comfortable practice. The pain is not a part of yin. were watching Harry Potter last night, and we both forgot about the chickens. And it was pitch dark, and I don't know what we paused it for some reason, and I said, "Holy cow! I need to go out because yesterday was my day to put the chickens in at night." So I had to use a flashlight, and I go out, and they're all roosting on top of their house because we have their door to their bedroom closed during the day, so they can't lay eggs in there because I couldn't reach them. Release. And however you're doing it, hug your knees or sit and do the windshield wipers with your feet a little bit apart, or hug your knees in and rock side to side, or you go to child's pose, or work it out somehow. Stretch, relax, lubricate the hip joints. Okay, other side. Left leg crossed. Push yourself forward. You can let your head hang once you get there, but don't pull yourself forward by sticking your neck forward. That's pulling with your neck, and you don't want to do that. You want to push with your arms, keep your back straight-ish, kind of push your belly forward and your chest forward. And then if you want, you can just relax your head or just keep it up, whatever works, and do all those other variations. If you did it on the first side, do it on the second side. Because if you can do one version that you can't do on one side, then you become even more unbalanced. So allow the more flexible, the less painful side to do the same as the tighter, as the more painful side, so that you don't go further and further apart from each other, the hips. I hope that makes sense. So I go out to the chickens with the flashlight, and they're all roosting on top of their house. And there's a tarp over the top and down the sides, and they're between the tarp and the side, some of them. So I open their little door, and they're already unconscious, basically. When it gets dark, chickens, that's when you want to move a chicken or anything else. It's when it's dark. So I shone the flashlight in their eyes, trying to wake them up, and did wake them up, but they still didn't want to come down. So I grabbed a few, and by then they were too much awake, and that was interesting. To bring them off the roof and put them in, and I had to kind of scooch the ones on the side and put them in, but I think most of them stayed outside on the roof. It was a good night to do that. And they're safe. That's a really secure yard. So we'll see what happens tonight. They might have liked, some of them always are on the roof, but just a few. There were more, and they may have liked it. They may not go in. But they will when it rains. That's the little chickens. The big chickens, their house is always open because there's nesting boxes and stuff in there. And the little chickens go in there. The new chickens go in there and lay the eggs as well. I couldn't believe it. We were so, it was an exciting spot in Harry Potter. And we realized we'd forgotten. Excuse me. I know it's uncomfortable to hold these poses. Do your best. Stay with it. Release it a tiny bit. Try to stay with it. If you need to release it a little bit, do that. But try to stay in the pose. Try to be continuing with the stretch. Trust me, you will feel better later in the day. I've had people tell me that they sleep for the first time without pain in their hips after doing a yin class. And that is true because that has occurred to me as well. It just really does make a difference. And if once you learn some of these and you find the ones that are the most challenging for you or that seem to make a difference, that keep a notebook nearby and kind of write down what we did and practice it on your own. Hold it for at least minimum 3 minutes, same amount on both sides. And release. Work it out, depending on which one you're doing. Okay, this one is a knee challenge, so please be careful with it. We're going to do half heroes pose. I was going to do a different one, but I think this one might be what we need more because we've already done a few of the others. So with half heroes, we're going to bring the right foot back by the left hip. And if you sit on a blanket, right foot back by the right hip. I'm sorry. If you sit on a blanket on the left hip, you sit where the blanket ends above the knee and the knee bent a little bit. We're right at the knee. And you can do this with 2 blankets, and that'll compress this right knee less because it'll start to lift your hips up, and you compress this right knee less. This side, I turn my right foot out. You can do it with your toes pointed straight. If you do that, it might be uncomfortable on the top of your foot, so you might want a blanket or something like under the shin. Usually, it's rolled up. And you can put it in a smaller one, like a towel maybe, under the shin so you don't put as much pressure on the top of the foot. But again, that's going to compress your knee more. So do what feels right. The alternative, which is also a good stretch, is to lay on your side and pull your right heel in. And that way you can adjust. You're not sitting on it. You're not really hyper compressing it. You can adjust and move your foot out a little bit. You can put a strap around your foot so that your foot can be out a little bit and you don't have to pull and compress that knee as much, but you can still move your leg back so you feel a good stretch here in the front of the hip flexors and the thigh. So you don't have to compress your knee to do that. You can move the leg back and get a good stretch. Otherwise, it's half heroes pose leaning back. So if you're doing it this way, the right heel is by the right hip. You can be sitting on a blanket on the left hip or not and lean back. You can lie back if you are that flexible, or you can just lean back. You can just come back to your forearms, or you can go all the way to the floor. And it's okay if you lean back and the right leg lifts a little bit, but you don't want it lifting real high. And you don't want to have to use muscle to keep it down. If it lifts real high and you have to push it down, you really don't want to go down that far. Then come back up to where it doesn't lift as high and you don't have to force it down. I hope everybody's set because I'm starting the clock. That was a big explanation. I'm not going to explain all that on the other side. So we'll be starting a little bit quicker on the other side. But remember all those options. Use your props in a way that makes your pose doable, not painful, not, I was going to say uncomfortable, but it's really not comfortable, except that make it comfortable for your shoulders or make it comfortable for your head. If it's hard, if you can't lay all the way back, you can stack some blankets behind you or put a block there, let your head rest on the block, go part way back. You can have blankets stacked behind you and lay back on the blankets. Be creative. I know you can be. Really tempted to have a couple of you on video. I won't. I mean, I can't. I can't turn on your video. But maybe we can discuss it. The ones that I know, some of you who've been with me for a long time, and I know how creative some of you are as to setting up props for yourself, and it would be good for other people to be able to see that, because you think of things that I don't even think of, and you know who you are. Don't try to deny it. I may get in touch with you, but then again, you may not want to have video on. I'm not going to say anybody's name because I don't want to put you on the spot. And if you don't want to have video on, I certainly understand that. That's the whole point, one of the points of being able to do this at home. Okay, carefully, slowly, like straight forward, or you can, depending on which version you're doing, you can hug your knees, rock on your back, like straight forward, rock them side to side, bounce them. You cup your hands over your knees if you're laying on your back and circle a little bit. Work more within the hip. Okay, other side. Sitting on a blanket with your right hip if you need to, left foot back. Your left hip. And lean back, however much or as little. And this can be very sided as to how far back you go. Try to relax. Relax that thigh. And in this case, and again, you can lean over, push the knee away, kind of like King Dancer. Push it away. If you can't compress to pull, push the leg away to pull, so that you're pulling and stretching that muscle. I forget what I was going to say. Lucky you. I mean, seriously. I heard the applause. I did. And release. Get out for a little bit. We have time for one more. Single-sided one. I didn't even use my notes. Huh. Okay, on your back, happy baby / dead bug. Wow, I mean, pretty far apart names for the same thing. Hold the bottoms of your feet, knees wide, knees bent 90 degrees, not straight. And we're stretching the front of the thighs as well as the back and the hips. You can wrap your arms around from the outside and hold your calves to keep the legs up so you can stay relaxed. Stretching them down. I was going to do half happy baby, but don't have time to do both sides. So sadly, I know half dead bug is a whole lot harder than full dead bug. It really is a lot. It's a big difference. So full dead bug is probably a bonus. Feel the stretch. When you hold it for a length of time, the muscles release. You might be able to stretch a little bit further. And then in yin, at some point, it's going to start getting less comfortable, and which will make the muscles tighten up possibly. You may have to release a little bit. And remember, the muscles are passing the stretch along to the tendons, ligaments, and fascia. That's why we do yin with cold muscles. So the cold muscles already don't stretch as much, and the tendons and ligaments tend to not be very flexible. So doing these poses with cold muscles is not the same. So always go into a stretch, even a familiar stretch, slowly. We're almost done with this. This isn't going to be held as long. Okay, release. Hug your knees and rock a little bit side to side, or cup the tops of your knees and do a circle one direction, a circle the other direction. Work it out of the hips. The hips are tightening up, toned, stretching, not tightening. Our motto. Okay, if you're staying for ball, we're ready to start ball. You're always welcome to just disconnect and lie there for a while and Shavasana. Grab your ball. Start with being on top of the ball, rock, bounce, and warming up back and legs and hips. Some of you may just be joining us for this. So you need to warm up. And those of you who did yin, this is still different this time. We're working on muscles. So you're warming up the muscles more. Now bounce, a little movement side to side. Hold on to the ball if you're not comfortable. Back to center. And as you bounce, again, hold on to the ball. Take your right foot out and bring it back. Try to coordinate the beat of your foot. And you touch your heel to the ground. You don't keep it lifted. A little slight time when the leg is lifted. back and stomp. Not big lifts. Feet down, circle your hips around the top of the ball. Other way around, please. Come back to center, face up on the ball. Ball is on your low back, shoulder blades just starting to touch. Fingers behind your head, don't pull on your head to lift up. Use your abs, upper abs, below the ribs, above the navel. Pull them in, activate them. Please don't lift all the way up to seated. Stay low. Pull those abs in. Arms out, elbows bent. Keep your hands out to the side of your head. Don't swing them forward and back. Fingers one hand behind your head if you need to for your neck. Again, don't lift up high. If you think that's working more, we want to isolate these upper abs. Arms overhead, arms hugging your ears. Again, one hand behind your head and one arm overhead, just for that extra weight. If it's okay with your shoulders, then move your arm forward. Okay. Fingers behind your head. Roll down. Stretch your back. I have to hold my ball because I would slide. Up to heels. Then straighten your legs, but not all the way. And if you want, you can lay back if that feels like a good stretch. If not, stay lifted. Okay, roll forward a little bit. Your head supported on the ball. The back of your shoulder blades. Notice my head isn't tilted back. If anything, it might be tilted forward a little bit. Your heels are basically under your knees. Your hips are lifted, trying to make a more or less straight line. Just lower your hips a little bit. Lift and squeeze hard. It's the lift and squeeze. It's going to work the glutes, the low back area, the SI joint area. So just release a little bit. Don't lower down far. Just back to starting position and squeeze out. Even if it's just isometric, you may not even move very much. Squeeze. Put your hands on the floor. Bring your feet a little closer to each other. Bring the right knee into the chest. Lift it up. Lower it down to parallel. Knee back in. Lower down. Left knee in. Up. Parallel. In. And down. Right. In. Up. Parallel. In. And down. When you bring it in, don't jerk it in. Pull it in. Muscles. Left. Up. Parallel. In. And down. And keep moving. Low abs primarily. Excuse me. From wherever you are, finish with the left leg. Come off the ball. Lie down, legs over the ball. Belly over the ball. Not lying on your back, legs over the ball. Face down over the ball. So move the ball back to the edge of the mat so you have a lot of mat in front of you. Put your shins or your knees on the ball, reach one hand down, then straighten your legs out. Move the ball to your navel. Walk a little bit forward. So the ball is almost, there's my knees. The ball is almost touching your knees, or maybe just barely touching the tops of the knees, but not the kneecaps. Arms are straight down. Let's do the twist. So separate your legs a little bit. You can always bend your knees a little bit. Lift your left arm up. Twist your torso. Don't push back with your arm. Twist your torso. This is for the back, not the shoulders. Up, upper back. Pulling your arm back is not beneficial for the shoulders. So rotate. Let yourself turn like your feet turn. The front of the hip might come off the ball. That's okay in this particular instance. Keep twisting. Do it slowly. Watch your lifted hand. Make sure it doesn't go back behind the range of motion of your shoulder from the torso. So it's not pulling. You'll feel a pull in the front of the right shoulder or the left shoulder. Keep going. This is part of the back that we don't get a whole lot of strengthening from in, generally speaking. We use the low back a lot. Finish your right arm. Just let yourself hang down over the ball, head toward the mat. Bend your knees. Take a great back stretch. The opposite direction of how the low back arches in. Just rounds it, stretches it. Back up to hands and knees. Hands and hands and belly, I guess. Still face down over the ball. Bring your legs together. Squeeze the sides of your knees together. Squeeze the sides of your heels together. The sides of the ball of your feet, like below the big toe together. Squeeze together your calves. Keep squeezing. As you lift your legs up to about parallel, just so you feel it in the glutes and the low back. Lower back down. Do not bend your elbows. Do not lower your torso to do this. You lose a lot of the strengthening from it if you're lowering your shoulders, your chest by bending the elbows. The legs go up automatically. Slowly squeeze all the way up and all the way down again. Don't overdo it. Just squeeze enough to keep them together. Lift and lower. You're activating the muscles by squeezing, which makes it harder. Because you tighten them up, it makes it harder to lift them, which is the whole point. Squeezing like that also tightens your glute muscles, so it protects the SI joint, the low back area. Okay, release, hang down over the ball again, stretch your back. And come off the ball, roll backwards, or wherever. Lie down now, lie down on your back. Your legs over the ball. Have the ball in tight against your hamstrings. Knees are bent about the height of the ball. Rock a little bit side to side. And I know I need to send everybody out new invitations for the Tuesday, Thursday class. Most of you aren't here right now, but if you don't get it before Tuesday, Thursday, and you are here, please send me an email like Monday. I should be getting it out this weekend. But if you don't get it, send me a reminder on Monday or a text message, because the date span for that one was up. I meant to extend it rather than recreate it, but I forgot. I wonder if I can set it up so there's no end date. I probably can, because it looks like that we may be it. Okay, feet on the top of the ball. Have the ball in against your hamstrings. Separate your legs a little bit so you have better space so the ball isn't going to roll. Arms out to the side. Slowly lift your hips. Pull your abs in as you round down one vertebrae at a time. So this works the front and the back of the body if you use your abs, if you activate them. Inhale up if you want. Exhale, pull your abs in and round down one vertebrae at a time, starting at the top. Keep slow lift. Don't arch up. Don't push up real high with your belly. Just lift. Work the muscles. Not to overarch your back. Keep and release. Now, this may not seem like much, but it's going to feel different when you do it. I want you to move the ball away from the back of your hamstrings. Not a lot. It's still, your knees are still bent, sort of, more or less, 90 degrees. But the ball, there's space there. It's not touching the back of your hamstrings anymore. Again, arms out for balance. And slowly lift. Don't push up with your belly. Round down, pull your abs in. Lift and lower. Keep going. And lower down, legs over the ball and rock. Now you may have noticed in the hatha and in this class, when we take our legs to the side, I'm recommending to those of you with tight hamstrings that you bend your knees and you take the thigh out, straight out. Otherwise, you're going to be down here and you can strain the back. And you may have realized that I didn't give that kind of instruction when we had a live class. And that's because I could see you. And I could see those who were not able to reach straight out to the side, and I could instruct them individually to bend their knees or to do something. And since you may not have had that issue, you didn't notice that or didn't remember. But anyway, since I can't see you, we have changed things a little bit. Okay. Yes, I know. Straddle the ball and lift. Bring it down closer to your knees or even between your knees. Don't squeeze it tight. Just enough to hold it. Squeezing it tight can challenge your knees too much. Slowly rock side to side. You can hold your legs up if your hamstrings are tight. You can bend your knees a little bit and bring them all the way down. Just bend them enough that you can keep the knees straight up and they're not down here. That's not good for the back unless you can really pay attention and keep your back pushed down. Most of the time we get tired and the back starts to lift and we're not even aware of it. So bend your knees if you need to. Little rocks. Your back may be slightly less on the mat, but it's not to the point where your buttocks lifts. You can rock to the opposite side. Come back to center. Circles, little circles on the ceiling. Other way around, please. Some of you, I think, have started ball for the first time. So you may have been getting pretty sore. I know, we all went through that, trust me. Okay, bend the knees. I can only go to, well, I can go both sides. Maybe. We're going to all do it with the knees bent. So bend the knees. They don't have to be bent all the way down. Just bend them. Take your thigh straight out 90 degrees from your torso. Touch that bottom leg to the ground. Lift it back up. Don't let it move away. Lift it up. Take it across to the other side. Lift it up. Yes. This feels way different than when we do it with the straight legs. So that can be a good thing because we're going to be working muscles that those of us who do it with straight legs don't get to work. Keep going, side to side. One more time to your second side. I don't know if I said sides. For me, it was my right. Come back up, lower the ball, and put your legs over the ball and rock a little bit side to side, massage your back. Okay, legs still over the ball. Once again, bring it in against your hamstrings. Cross your right leg with the ankle just above the knee on the thigh, not above the knee on the shin. That's below, just above. You may want to slide down more. Try to keep it up there. Fingers behind your head. You can reach your hand past the outside, left hand past the outside of the right knee without bringing the knee in. Try to just let it relax there. Keep the right elbow down. I'm going to stay on the same side. So lift slowly, reach the arm past on the thigh, past the knee, and bring it slowly all the way back. Take a pause, and then reach again. Support your head with your fingertips, but your right elbow and your right shoulder stays down so that you're having to twist more to reach, working different muscles than if you lift both up and reach, right? Go all the way back to starting position so you get the full range of motion working all the muscles. Keep moving slowly. Exhale up and inhale back if you want. Do not change sides. Left, well, that would be a big deal. Side. So yeah, I don't think you're changing sides. Okay, release both legs back. Cross the left ankle just above the right knee on the thigh. Left knee out, however far it goes. Fingertips behind your head so you don't pull your head up with your arms. And then reach that right arm to the outside or top of the left knee. Keep this left elbow down and come all the way back. Lift. Your left fingers are lifting to support the head because you're lifting the head, but the elbow stays down. Pull your abs in. Twist. Reach as far as you can. Keep that left elbow down. Keep going. Really? When did that happen? Huh. Time just flies by, you know? Okay, release. Bring your feet to the back of the ball. Mine are kind of on the top with my toes. Anyway, this ball does slide. Feet are separated from each other a little bit. Don't roll the ball this time. Arms are out. You need to do this slowly and carefully. If you feel it too much in the knees, please come back. The legs over the ball. Hamstrings touching the ball, and lift and lower your hips that way. Otherwise, slowly lift and slowly lower. And ignore the cramping, possibly in the hamstrings. Slowly lift, slowly lower. 3, 4, 5. You can do this as bridge pose as well with your feet on the ground. Last one, 6. This is bridge on the ball. Legs over the ball. Rock a little bit side to side. You could stay there and rock or just relax, close your eyes with your legs over the ball. That's really nice on the back. And we are done. Have a wonderful rest. We'll see some of you on Tuesday. And watch for the new invitation.